Good morning, everyone. This is Heather Williams with the California After School Network, and I'm here with Michael Funk from the Expanded Learning Division of CDE. We are here for another Fireside chat. And Michael, I understand after many weeks of working with a lot of different folks, you were able to come to a very important agreement this weekend. And so you have some news you'd like to share?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm excited and glad to be able to share that the California Department of Education will be extending the ASES 21st Century Community Learning Center and ASSETs grants by 6 months. So the typical June 30th ending date will now be December 31st, 2020. That also includes the ASES transportation grants, and it includes the grants that support our system of support for expanded learning.
That's awesome news. So what will happen next?
Well, we're developing an amendment to the AO 400 grant agreement. For those of you that are not in the weeds of the details, that's the actual grant agreement that the California Department of Education sends out to the grantees. That amendment will be sent out to the contact persons for each grant, and it can be returned to us electronically. So we're doing electronic signatures at this point. So that should expedite the process. There will be additional assurances that you'll want to pay attention to that we're actually developing this week. The assurances are going to be things that make sure we account for how you're spending the extension of this fiscal year's grant from the grant that will actually start on July 1. So this does not disrupt next year's grant, which will start fiscal year July 1, 2020 and end June 30th, 2021. So we want to make sure we have an accounting of the services and expenditures that are attributed to the extension and those attributed to the grant for next year.
Got it. So can you talk a little bit about why the grants are being extended?
Well, we know, we had on our show last week, the Anaheim Family YMCA, Teresa, and we've been getting stories from across the state about the tremendous impact that expanded learning programs are having during this time. I just want to state really clearly, all expanded learning programs should be providing services to the full extent possible to students, families, and their communities. So in spite of closures, in spite of all the unanswered questions now, many programs are doing whatever they can to make a big difference. But quite frankly, the real driving force behind the work to extend these grants is that as soon as we're able to bring our students back together and support them, we need to be ready to love them and help them heal and help them get ready for a school year that is going to look like something they've never been exposed to. So we've talked about this before on this weekly chat. We've talked about summer learning loss, which for the last 7-8 years, the expanded learning field has had a real focus on summer with the Summer Matters campaign and various efforts like that. Well, now we have summer learning loss ×2 or even more. And so as soon as we can gather our kids back together, they need to be emotionally and socially supported and nurtured to be able to get back to the place where they can learn. And expanded learning has a big role in that. So whatever resources we can move forward and put to that effort, then that's the purpose for this.
So speaking of summer, I know that's another big question about summer and about expanded learning in the fall. Any other updates or answers there?
Well, the answer is that there's no answers. I know as soon as you get this news, your minds are going to go forward. Well, then how should we plan for summer? What's going to happen in the fall? We just don't know. We don't know. So we're going to be working on continued guidance in the forthcoming weeks and make sure we get these grant agreements re-signed and sent back. And I think what happens in the future has to be a dialogue with the whole ecosystem. Department of Education, the System of Support, the California After School Network, all of our different parties in the state are going to have to work together to reimagine what the future looks like. So there's no script for this. There's no manual for this to look up on page 47 what we're going to do next. So we'll have to do it together, and we will.
Well, thank you, Michael. I think that is a really great update that the field will be excited to hear about. And we will have another fireside chat coming a little bit later this week with a special guest from a school district who is going to share some of the ways that they have been helping to support their community during this time. So
Yeah, thank you, Heather.
thanks,
Bye, everyone.
Michael. Bye, everyone.